Missile threat running. Hardened shelter immediately. Shelter in place.
Bro. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, oh, oh my God. Dude, me. A missile actually got through. Oh, there's more. I gotta get the out of here.
So what impact have Iran's strikes had on America's footprint in the Middle East? A CNN investigation found evidence of unprecedented destruction. We can reveal that strikes damaged at least 16 U.S. installations across 8 countries. According to our analysis and sourcing, that's the majority of American military positions in the region, and some of them are virtually unusable now. A U.S. source familiar with the situation told us that they'd never seen anything like this at American bases, that these were rapid, targeted strikes using advanced technology. Iran's main targets? Multi-million-dollar aircraft, like this Boeing E-3 Sentry, which gave the U.S. a huge amount of visibility over the Gulf. It's out of production, and in today's money, it's worth nearly $500 million. Critical communications equipment. Look at these giant golf balls. They're known as radomes, and they protect satellite dishes vital for data transmission. In this base alone, Iran destroyed all but one of the radomes less than a month into the war. In some ways, Iran's show of force makes the US's presence in the region even more necessary to Gulf security. But there's a new reality here, which is that US military installations, previously seen as formidable fortresses, have turned into sitting targets. As a Saudi source told me, the war has shown Saudi Arabia, that's the US's longest-standing Arab ally, that the alliance with the US cannot be exclusive, and it is not, in their words, impregnable.
Hello, Bobby Jones here from MeidasTouch and Valor Media Networks. You know, the conflict between the United States and Iran has now lasted, well, since basically the beginning of March until now. Months. Going into 6 months of conflict. What was lost in all of the devastation and destruction, specifically for the United States and its forces, are families, dependents actually, that are in the actual theater of war. This takes me to Naval Station Bahrain. Bahrain is the headquarters of the United States Fifth Fleet. And because historically it has been deemed safe, you have family members who get to deploy and live there for a couple of years with their actual service member. Well, needless to say, when conflict started February 28th of this year, Bahrain was a prime target for Iran. Bahrain has been bombed out. The naval station has been obliterated in many areas where it's no longer a functional base, but most importantly, civilians, i.e. the dependents, the family members, were also in harm's way. So they had to emergency evacuate. Now, because of the destruction that has happened there, the head of the United States Navy in that area of the world, also known as NAVCENT, or United States Naval Forces Central Command, NAVCENT basically said, in a statement this past week, that dependents cannot return for the foreseeable future, and they are now being directed to find a new home base stateside in the United States. And this is something that has to be verified by each family, but basically they're uprooting their lives and moving back to the States. Obviously, safety is the most important thing, but the overall disruption, you know, children in school, all this, family members having to leave their sailors behind, it's a real thing. Now, that is war, and that's what happens when you fight it. People get displaced. And believe me, compared to others in that area, these dependents, you know, are not going to have to suffer like others. However, this being a war of choice, the United States obviously thought this was only going to last 12 days because the evacuation order initially was for 12 days. They thought the conflict would be over. The United States would be victorious. It'd be wham, bam, thank you. And everybody gets to go back. Well, that is not the case. So how many people are we talking about? Let's talk about this for a second. We're talking about 1,300 dependents, family members of sailors. Over 8,000 are based out of Bahrain. And these orders to evacuate basically have a 180-day statutory limit before these families have to relocate permanently. And so the vice admiral, the 3-star that's in charge, basically came out with this statement 12 days before this statutory limitation kicks in, which means now families have to scramble. So you may ask the logical question, why in the world did it take so long for the United States Navy to realize that these dependents have to be moved? And now why do they have to rush to do it? That's a very good question to which no one seems to have an answer. The main portion of this whole story is, that the home base has basically been destroyed, rendered useless. And rumors coming out of the Pentagon are saying that none of the bases damaged are going to be repaired, and the United States is probably not going to return to them. If that is the case, then why are families remaining in limbo? It's hard. It's hard on the families who basically had nothing to do with this, but they support their sailors. When you have a 12-day evacuation plan for a now 6-month war, all these things are going to bubble to the forefront. These gaps in thought process, these gaps in taking care of people, both the service member and their families. The 3-star Admiral Renshaw has basically said, and I quote, "making this up as we go." That is the most damning statement I've heard since this conflict has begun, because it is obvious that no one in the upper chain of command, to include, most importantly, the civilians, imagined this conflict would last this long. And it seems as though no one thought of the consequences to the families that were stationed in theater. They are searching for solutions. Meanwhile, families are having to pick bases, it seems like at random, to start their lives over again due to the piss poor planning before this whole conflict started. And so when you look at this, there's a family that has relocated 8 times in the last 6 months and have incurred about $40,000 in debt moving from hotel to hotel, etc. And the Navy has not reimbursed them yet. The Department of Defense has not reimbursed them yet. And the State Department is telling them they don't know what to do. These stories have been highlighted by Stars and Stripes, Military Times, all of these different organizations, news media organizations, are starting to pick up on this, because while people are focused on the actual service members in theater, as they should, I don't think the American public realizes that there are family members that are there too. So why am I hammering this? This is, in my opinion, the smoking gun to show that no one in the upper chain of command of the United States military foresaw these circumstances. And unlike the service members who are suffering and doing all of these different things that they did not expect to do, the family members who are suffering, they're starting to speak up. They had a virtual town hall, over 500 people crammed into it virtually, and they were ticked from some of the rumored reports. And it's going to get worse. 180 days of displacement for families, 200 and some odd plus days for sailors on board the Abraham Lincoln Strike Group. You see that all of the chaos is happening here, that the people who are suffering the most are the American service members and their families, due to a lack of thinking and, to be completely honest, compassion by their civilian chain of command.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.